The signal from beyond. The ordinary citizens of Earth believed their planet's defenses consisted of a handful of orbital platforms and a modest interplanetary fleet. They were wrong. Commander Elena Reyes stood motionless in the vast underground hangar beneath the Pacific Ocean floor, watching engineers perform final checks on the EDS Thunderchild. The warship stretched nearly a kilometer in length, its obsidian hull absorbing light rather than reflecting it. Surface textures that appeared decorative were actually advanced metamaterials capable of bending energy, light, and gravity itself. Quite the sight, isn't she? Admiral Zhukov approached, his weathered face betraying none of the tension gripping the facility. 15 years I've served on her, and I still can't believe we built something like this in secret, Elena replied, her eyes never leaving the ship. Secrecy was necessary. Earth needed a deterrent that no potential enemy could anticipate. The Admiral handed her a data tablet, but secrets have a way of becoming irrelevant when reality intervenes. The tablet displayed a signal pattern, mathematical in structure, but unlike anything in human communication protocols. Elena recognized it immediately from her briefing. The Arxian distress call. How bad is it? Worse than initial reports. Their second colony world is already gone. The home planet is under heavy bombardment. The Voidborn fleet will have complete orbital supremacy within 72 hours. Elena swiped through disturbingly clinical projections of extinction-level scenarios. And we're certain these Voidborn are the aggressors. This couldn't be some interspecies conflict we're misrating. The Arxians have provided extensive documentation. The Voidborn have systematically eliminated 3 other spacefaring civilizations in the past decade. They don't negotiate. They don't accept surrenders. They simply eradicate. And now they're within 20 light-years of our solar system, Elena stated flatly. Precisely why Operation Daybreak has been authorized. The President will address the world in 4 hours. By then, I need your crew ready for immediate deployment. Elena's fingers tightened around the tablet. Sir, my crew thinks we're conducting deep space exercises. They've never expected to actually fight. None of us did, Commander. The Admiral's voice softened momentarily. But we built this fleet for a reason. Better to engage the Voidborn at the Arxian homeworld than wait for them to discover Earth. Lieutenant Commander Sato's fingers moved rapidly across the communications array in the Thunderchild's command center. Signal authenticated and triangulated, Commander. It's definitely coming from the coordinates the Arxians provided. Elena studied the tactical display where a dozen red markers indicated Voidborn vessels in orbit around a blue-green world. Smaller green dots showed the remaining Arxian defensive platforms, steadily winking out as she watched. Status report on Battle Group Aegis, she ordered. All vessels reporting ready, Commander, replied Lieutenant Okoro from Tactical. The Valiant, Defiant, Resolute, and Indomitable have completed synchronization with our targeting systems. Apollo and Artemis are holding at designated coordinates with medical and ground support teams ready. Elena took a slow breath. 3 hours earlier, she had stood with her crew of 500 in the Thunderchild's main hangar as they watched the President's emergency broadcast. The stunned silence when massive hangar doors opened around the world, revealing Earth's true military capabilities, had given way to determined purpose. These men and women had trained for years, never expecting their skills would actually be tested. Communication from Admiral Zhukov. Sato announced. Final authorization received. Elena moved to the command chair at the center of the bridge. The neural interface activated as she sat, connecting her consciousness directly to the ship's systems. Information flooded her mind. Energy levels, shield capacities, weapon status, all processed instantly by the interface. All hands, secure for transition. FTL drives to maximum capacity. The Thunderchild's revolutionary engines hummed to life, creating a controlled distortion in spacetime itself. The stars on the view screen began to stretch, initiating jump in 3, 2, 1. Reality twisted, and the Earth fleet vanished into the void. The Arxian home system materialized around them 4 days later. Elena had expected chaos, but the methodical precision of the Voidborn assault was somehow more disturbing. Their black, crystalline ships moved in perfect formation, systematically targeting Archean defensive installations and population centers. Multiple contacts on approach vector, Okoro reported. Voidborn interceptors, moving to engage. Deploy countermeasures, Elena ordered. Battle Group Aegis, defensive formation Delta. Let's get their attention. The Thunderchild's primary weapons array came online, illuminating the bridge with a soft blue glow. Humanity had developed energy weapons unlike anything seen in known space, technologies that manipulated the fundamental forces of the universe itself. The first Voidborn interceptor exploded in a flash of purple light as the Thunderchild's forward batteries found their mark. Two more followed as the Valiant and Defiant joined the attack. The remaining Voidborn vessels broke formation, their movements suddenly less coordinated. They're surprised, Elena observed. They didn't expect resistance of this level. Commander, we're receiving a transmission, Sato called out. It's different from the Archean communications protocol. The Voidborn. Elena turned in surprise. They're trying to communicate. Putting it through now. The main view screen flickered, revealing a being unlike anything humanity had encountered. Its form seemed to shift between solid and vapor, with clusters of bioluminescent nodes where eyes might be expected. When it spoke, the translation software struggled to convert the complex harmonics into human language. Unidentified vessels. You interfere in matters beyond your understanding. The Archean biomass has been designated for harvest. You will withdraw or be eliminated. Elena stood from her command chair. This is Commander Elena Reyes of the Earth Defense Ship Thunderchild. We are responding to a distress call from the Archean people. Your attacks on their civilian populations must cease immediately. The beam's form pulsed with deep crimson light. Your species is unknown to us. Your technology is unexpected. This changes nothing. The Archeans are prey. All organic intelligence eventually serves the Voidborn. You have made yourselves targets by intervening. We're not asking permission, Elena replied coldly. We're giving you one opportunity to retreat. The transmission cut abruptly. On the tactical display, all Voidborn vessels changed course, abandoning their attack on the planet to converge on the Earth fleet. They're committing everything to eliminate us, Okoro said quietly. Elena returned to her command chair. They consider us the greater threat now. Good. Tactical, designate primary targets. All vessels, weapons free. Show them exactly why they should have stayed far away from this corner of the galaxy. The Thunderchild's main cannons powered up with a resonant hum that vibrated through the entire ship. Across the fleet, Earth's most advanced weapons prepared to fire. Humanity's first interstellar battle was about to begin. Dr. Maya Chen watched the tactical display from the science bay with growing concern. The initial exchange had gone well. Earth's technology was clearly more advanced than the Voidborn had anticipated. But something was changing in the enemy's attack pattern. Commander Reyes, she called over the comm. I'm detecting unusual energy spikes in the Voidborn vessels. They're adapting to our weapons frequency. On the bridge, Elena saw it too. Each volley from Earth's ships was becoming progressively less effective as the Voidborn adjusted their defenses. Switch to modulating frequencies, she ordered. Don't give them a pattern to adapt to. A violent impact rocked the ship as a Voidborn energy beam struck the Thunderchild's starboard shields. Shields holding at 87%, Okoro reported. But that hit was stronger than their previous attacks. Elena's neural interface flashed warning indicators across her vision. They're learning with each exchange. Dr. Chen, I need options. In the science bay, Maya analyzed the Voidborn energy signatures. Their ships appear to be sharing tactical data in real time, almost like a hive mind. If we could disrupt their communication network. The command ship, Elena realized, studying the tactical display. That large vessel at the rear of their formation. It's coordinating their adaptations. Lieutenant James Foster, who had remained silent until now, spoke up from the navigation station. "Commander, I served in special operations before transferring to the fleet. Give me a small team, and I can get aboard that command ship." Elena turned to him in surprise. "That's a suicide mission, Lieutenant." "Not with the phase shift technology we developed for stealth insertions," Foster countered. "A small craft could approach undetected, if we can plant disruptor devices on their command nodes." A second impact rocked the ship harder than the first. "Shields at 72%. Okoro reported grimly. "The Valiant is reporting significant damage to their port section." Elena made her decision. "Lieutenant Foster, select your team. Dr. Chen, prepare those disruptors. You have 20 minutes." As Foster hurried from the bridge, Elena opened a fleet-wide channel. "All vessels, execute attack pattern Omega. Concentrate fire on these coordinates." She marked several points around the Voidborn formation. "We need to create chaos to cover an insertion team." The Earth fleet moved with practiced precision, their formations unpredictable compared to the Voidborn's methodical approach. The smaller Artemis broke away, diving toward the planet's atmosphere. "Ground team deployment confirmed," Sato reported. "The Artemis is beginning evacuation of Arxian civilians." On the tactical display, a small indicator separated from the Thunderchild, Foster's infiltration craft, barely larger than a shuttle, its experimental phase shift technology rendering it nearly invisible to sensors. Elena watched it disappear among the Voidborn ships and offered a silent prayer to whatever might be listening in the vast darkness of space. Everything now depended on Foster's team reaching that command ship. The fate of two worlds hung in the balance. Humanity unleashed. Lieutenant James Foster had never expected to use his special operations training in actual combat. Like everyone else in Earth's secret fleet, he had prepared for a day they all hoped would never come. Now, crouched in the maintenance shaft of a Voidborn command ship, that day had arrived with terrifying clarity. "Status report," he whispered to his four-person team. "Phase shift generator at 18% and falling," replied technical specialist Zoe Martinez. "We have maybe 20 minutes before we're fully visible to their sensors." Foster nodded grimly. "That's cutting it close." The interior of the Voidborn vessel defied conventional design logic. Corridors twisted at impossible angles, and surfaces seemed to shift between solid and something else entirely. The air itself felt charged with potential energy. "I'm picking up what might be their central processing node," said communications expert Derek Wong, consulting the scanner Dr. Chen had hastily programmed with Arxian intelligence. "But these readings don't match anything in our database." "Which way?" Foster asked. Wong pointed toward a pulsating membrane where a door might normally be. "Through there, approximately 200 meters. But I'm also detecting movement patterns throughout the ship. They know something's wrong. They can sense us even with the phase shift," asked weapons specialist Anna Kapoor. "Maybe not us specifically," Foster theorized. "But they know Earth's fleet shouldn't be able to coordinate attacks as effectively as we are. They're sweeping for anomalies." The team moved cautiously through the alien environment, placing localized EMP charges at what appeared to be junction points in the ship's strange architecture. If their primary mission failed, these would at least create temporary disruptions. When they reached the membrane Wong had identified, Foster hesitated. Beyond it, a vast chamber pulsed with bioluminescent light. At its center hovered a crystalline structure that seemed to both absorb and emit energy simultaneously. "That's it," Wong whispered. "Their command node." Foster checked his equipment one last time. Dr. Chen's disruptor device was simple in concept. It would broadcast a cascade of contradictory commands through whatever network system the Voidborn used, effectively creating a feedback loop that would temporarily paralyze their operations. "Martinez, how close do we need to get?" She studied her readings. "Within 10 meters for optimal effect. But there's a problem." She pointed to several vapor-like entities circling the crystal. "Those appear to be Voidborn in their natural state." Foster made a quick decision. Kapoor set a diversion at the far side of the chamber. Wong, Martinez, prepare the disruptor. I'll create an opening. Kapoor placed an energy pulse generator designed to mimic human weapons fire and set it on a 30-second delay. When it activated, the effect was immediate. The vapor entities converged on the disturbance, leaving the command node momentarily unguarded. Now, Foster ordered. The team rushed into the chamber. Martins reached the crystal first, attaching the disruptor to its base. Device active. Setting countdown 4. A pulse of energy knocked her backward, the air around her becoming suddenly solid. 2 void-born entities had returned, their forms shifting rapidly between states as they moved toward the humans. Get back to the insertion point, Foster shouted, firing his specialized pulse weapon. The energy beams passed harmlessly through the void-born's semi-corporeal forms. Kapoor dragged Martinez toward the exit as Wong covered their retreat. Foster found himself cut off, the void-born entities forming a barrier between him and the others. Lieutenant, Wong called out. Complete the mission, Foster replied, backing toward a secondary corridor. Tell Commander Reyes to watch for the signal. The chamber suddenly filled with blinding light as the disruptor activated prematurely, triggered perhaps by the void-born's energy field. Foster felt a strange sensation, as if reality itself were bending around him, and then darkness claimed him. On the Thunderchild's bridge, Elena watched in mounting concern as the battle shifted. The Earth fleet maintained tactical superiority, but the Voidborn were relentless, sacrificing ships without hesitation to inflict damage. The Resolute reports critical shield failure, Okoro announced, Voidborn vessels concentrating fire on their position. Elena's neural interface flashed damage reports across multiple ships. Order the Valiant to provide cover. Redirect our port batteries tow. She was interrupted by a sudden flare of energy from the Voidborn command ship. For a moment, it seemed to shimmer as if caught between dimensions. Foster's team, she breathed. Across the battlefield, the effect spread rapidly. Voidborn vessels froze in position, their weapons powering down. Some began to drift aimlessly, while others executed contradictory maneuvers, colliding with each other. It worked, Sato said in disbelief. Their network is disrupted. All ships, this is Commander Reyes, Elena broadcast. Target disabled Voidborn vessels. Maximum firepower, concentrated volleys. The Earth fleet responded immediately, their coordinated attack devastating now that the Voidborn could no longer adapt. Ship after ship exploded in brilliant flashes of purple and blue energy. Any sign of Lieutenant Foster's team? Elena asked. Sato worked his console frantically. Negative, Commander. No response to hails. Their extraction beacon is offline. Elena felt a cold weight settle in her stomach, but kept her expression neutral. Continue rescue operations, and contact the Artemis. I want a status update on the ground situation. Captain Nadia Volkov of the EDS Artemis had never seen devastation on this scale. The Arxian capital city had been reduced to smoking ruins, its elegant crystalline structures shattered by Voidborn bombardment. But unlike Earth's military, which had remained hidden for decades, the Arxians had nothing in reserve. What you saw was all they had. Captain, we've established a secure perimeter around Evacuation Zone 3, reported Sergeant Chen over the comm. Medical teams are treating casualties, but... He hesitated. Ma'am, there are so many of them. Volkov surveyed the makeshift field hospital her crew had established. Arxians were roughly humanoid, but with elongated limbs and iridescent skin that changed color with their emotional state. Currently, most displayed the pale blue of shock and fear. Do what you can, Sergeant. The Apollo is inbound with additional medical supplies. She turned as one of the Arxian leaders approached, an elder whose skin shimmered with a complex pattern that denoted high status. Guardian Talax, she acknowledged with respect. The Arxian's multifaceted eyes studied her with intense focus. Your people's intervention was unexpected. Many believe your message was false hope. We received your distress call, Volkov replied simply. Yet you came prepared for war, Talax observed. Your ships, your weapons, they were not hastily assembled. Volkov nodded slowly. Earth has prepared for possibilities we hoped would never materialize. In secret, Talax added. As we monitored your world's transmissions, we saw no indication of such capabilities. That was intentional, Volkov admitted. Our leaders believed revealing our true strength might invite conflict rather than prevent it. The Archean's skin rippled with amber tones, thoughtfulness, perhaps, or curiosity. And now we understand that silence has its own risks. The galaxy is more dangerous than we imagined. Their conversation was interrupted by a sudden commotion as medics rushed toward a newly arrived transport. Volkov's heart raced when she recognized the uniforms of Foster's infiltration team. 3 of them, supporting a 4th between them. Martinez, she called out, recognizing the technical specialist. Where's Lieutenant Foster? Martinez's face was streaked with what looked like burn marks, but her eyes were clear. He didn't make it, Captain. He stayed behind to make sure the disruptor activated. She swallowed hard. The command ship, it began some kind of emergency protocol. It was tearing itself apart as we escaped. Volkov placed a hand on the young woman's shoulder. You completed the mission. The Voidborn fleet has been neutralized. At what cost? Martins asked quietly. Before Volkov could answer, her comm unit chimed with an incoming transmission from the Thunderchild. Commander Raya's face appeared, her expression grave but determined. Captain Volkov, status report. Ground teams have established 3 secure evacuation zones, Volkov replied. Archean casualties are high, but we're providing medical assistance. And Commander, 3 members of Foster's team just arrived. Lieutenant Foster didn't make it back. Elena's expression didn't change, but Volkov knew her well enough to see the pain in her eyes. Understood. The space battle is over. The remaining Voidborn vessels are retreating to the system's edge. Retreating? Volkov asked in surprise. Not destroyed. We disabled approximately 60% of their fleet. The rest managed to restore enough functionality to initiate withdrawal. Elena's voice hardened. We're tracking their vector. They're heading away from both Archean space and Earth. Running home to report what they found, Volkov surmised. Exactly. Which means this isn't over, just postponed. Elena glanced off-screen briefly. The Admiral is coordinating with Earth. I need you to prepare the Archean leadership for diplomatic discussions. We'll need to formalize an alliance quickly. Understood, Commander. Volkov ended the transmission and turned back to Guardian Talax, who had been listening intently. Your commander speaks wisdom, the Archean said. The Voidborn will return, and in greater numbers. Then we'll be ready, Volkov replied. Together. 3 days later, Elena stood in the Thunderchild's observation deck, watching as engineering teams worked to repair battle damage. The vast starfield beyond the viewport was peaceful now, the Archean homeworld a beautiful blue-green sphere below. Admiral Zhukov's holographic form appeared beside her, projected from Earth. The President sends his congratulations, Commander. First contact, first battle, first victory. And first casualties, Elena added quietly. Yes. The Admiral's tone softened. Lieutenant Foster's sacrifice has been noted at the highest levels. His family will be informed of his heroism. Elena nodded silently. Foster had been one of her best officers. Quiet, competent, and as it turned out, unfailingly brave. What's the situation on Earth? She asked, changing the subject. Chaotic, as you might expect. The revelation of our true military capabilities has sparked protests in some regions, celebrations in others. The UN Security Council is in continuous session, debating the implications. And the Archean ambassadors, arriving tomorrow. Their ships are considerably slower than ours, even with the technological exchanges we've initiated. The Admiral's expression grew serious. The intelligence they've provided about the Voidborn, it is concerning. This was just a harvesting fleet, a small fraction of their total forces. Elena turned from the viewport. How long do we have? Dr. Chen estimates 18 months before they can return in force. By then, we need to have upgraded our existing fleet with the lessons learned from this engagement and expanded our production capabilities. The secret's out now, Elena said. No more hiding. No, the Admiral agreed. Humanity has announced its presence to the galaxy. For better or worse, we can't go back to the shadows. As the Admiral's hologram faded, Elena returned her gaze to the stars. Somewhere out there, the Voidborn were regrouping, analyzing, preparing. And beyond them, who knew what other civilizations might exist, potential allies or enemies waiting to be discovered. Earth's path forward was uncertain, but one thing was clear: humanity would no longer hide its strength. The signal that had drawn them into this conflict had changed everything, forcing Earth to reveal capabilities developed over decades of secret preparation. The next time a threat emerged from the darkness between stars, they would be ready, not as a hidden force, but as a known power, standing openly in defense of their world and any others who sought their protection. Commander Elena Rice placed her hand against the cool viewport and made a silent promise to Lieutenant Foster and all who had sacrificed in humanity's first interstellar conflict. Their courage would not be forgotten, and their mission would continue. The stars looked different now, not distant points of light, but potential destinations, challenges, and responsibilities. Humanity had stepped onto the galactic stage, and there would be no turning back.